So this is going to be a short review of the Cold Steel Trailboss. So this axe is like $45 on Amazon right now. I picked it up for $23, and I feel it's a pretty good deal, even at $45. Although I still feel like that's asking a bit much. Although it is better than the competition. Your big box store axes will be nothing like this. This is not fancy. It's got thick handle, a lacquered handle, and it's not the best profile, but it's infinitely better than what you'll get at the big box stores. You can see there, it's got a pretty good profile, not super thin. Like, I'll give you an example here of what I'm talking about. Big box stores will have a really, really thick blade, but this is the perfect blade right here. You can see how thin that is. Like, that'll get some good penetration in wood. But the big box store ones, profile is like this, except at the front they have a bevel like that. So you just can't cut into anything. And this is a pretty good profile, pretty good, we'll call it a compensation between a splitting and a felling. And it's got a good edge on it. It came pretty sharp. So, pretty serviceable edge, 1055 carbon steel. I found that the edge holds up pretty well. It does chip occasionally, but most of the chips I've gotten were from hitting wood, steel or concrete. I've only really gotten one from that could have been from metal, but I believe it was from hitting wood, and it was just really tiny. It hasn't rolled, except I believe I hit like ceramic with it, so of course that'll dull it, but the edge holds up pretty good. 1055 carbon is a good steel. This is about a boy's axe size axe. You got a 28-inch handle, a 1.8 pound head, which is lighter than your typical boy's axe, which will be 2.25 pounds. And it's also got a pretty good hang on it. You can see there 2 barrel wedges. Typically, full-size axes will have an eye that's larger than this, and they only have 1 barrel wedge. This has 2, and I've found that the head actually stays on there pretty good. And you can see it's about maybe a 64th of an inch. The wood is about a 64th of an inch above the head. That's the way it was like when I got it, but after a lot of use it was about a 64th beneath. I basically pounded on the bottom and pounded on the wedges, and it was good for a while. Then it looked like the wedges were just a tiny bit higher above the wood than they were when I got it, so I just pounded them in, and it seems to be not getting worse. It seems to be pretty good, so I can't complain too much about that. I've tapped it, but really I'm just overcautious, so it probably would have been fine. The handle is definitely nothing to write home about. You can see there it's crazy thick, and my full-size 3.5 pound 32-inch handle felling axe has a thinner handle, so it's certainly not a really good handle, probably one of the worst ones, but you know, better. It's not better than the competition, but the steel makes the axe worth it. And it's straight, no curves in it. It's lacquered, like a heavy lacquer too. It's got like these bubbles in it, so if you use it, you'll get dirt in the handle and it makes it look dirty. But I'm not too concerned with that. So overall, this is a pretty good axe. And another thing about the big box store axes is grain. Maybe about half of the axes will have acceptable grain. The other half will have like a grain that is perpendicular to the head. And that is not good. What will happen is if you get something like that, your axe will crack. Seen it happen. So you want good grain. And these, I've watched reviews online, read reviews, and even mine, the grain is good. So you don't have to worry about that. It's got good grain, so your handle won't break unless you're trying to use it as a sledgehammer and just use the handle. But so the handle will last, the head won't come off, which is not really a problem I've heard of with the box store axes, the head coming off, but the steel is certainly better, the edge is certainly better, and the grain is certainly better. So I feel like this is worth it, much more value for your money than a box store axe, just because it's certainly no Corvette. It's kind of just lame, kind of doesn't feel very good, but it's a worker. You can definitely get the job done, whereas if you use a box store one, it's just not going to cut it. So overall, if you're an elitist, I guess, you might not like this because it's just not, the handle isn't very good. But if you're somebody who needs an axe and you don't really and you don't really want to do a lot of work with the axe, or you don't want to do a lot of work to get a box store axe to work, this is definitely the axe for you. Personally, I don't regret buying it. It's held up pretty good. So I would recommend it to you as well. Thank you all for watching.